Hello everybody, good evening. Welcome to today's beginner bachata class. I'm joined once again by Amanda. So today's class is going to be a continuation of last week. Reminder that the concept for this month is going to be syncopated steps for the bachata. Last week we did side syncopated and forward and back syncopated. And for those of you who are just joining us today, welcome. We're going to do a review at the end of the month. So even if you're kind of a little bit confused about what's going on, just you'll catch up as you go along. So that way you don't feel too out of place and everything will just make more sense as you go. Again, all the videos are available on YouTube to watch. They're labeled very clearly beginner bachata along with the date of when they were recorded. So again, they're all perfectly available for you, free of charge. You can view them on your laptop, your TV, and your phone. And yeah, so you can always catch yourself up and replay them as much as you please. And again, if you would like to support, you can just look at the links above, send me a message, and again, any sort of contributions welcome. So let's get started right into it. So for today's class, let's see, let's face this right here. I'll show the front version. We're gonna work on a syncopated side and front at the same time. So quick refresh from last week. We did a syncopated side step, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Amanda's gonna do the same thing, looking backwards. You just pick whichever way you want to go. 5, 6 again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. We're gonna switch here. So to break that down a bit, it's just like I'm doing a side step. 1, 2, 3, 4. But instead of going all the way 4 steps, I'm just staying smaller. And it's like I'm tippy toeing. 1 and 2 and. And then last one, 3, 4 is slower and more emphasis on exiting. 3, 4. Same thing on the 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. So keep everything underneath your hips, keep everything smaller, use your knees and your toes. And the same thing for the forward and back. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Same idea, I just make sure my torso is slightly pivoted, making sure my feet are also slightly pivoted so that way as I go forward with the left one, my right one is just behind the heel. Boom, return, boom, return, boom, and that's pretty much the idea. Now the new one we're going to do today is this. I'm going to start from my side step, 1 and 2 and instead of finishing 3, 4, I'm going to go towards you. 3, 4. As I continue on, I'm going to do the same thing to the side. 5 and 6 and instead of going towards you, I go backwards now. 7, 8. From the flip side of it, Amanda's going to still face the front. I'm going to do it from here. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. It can seem a bit quick at first, but I'm going to try to slow it down into 3 different parts. We're going to go into the 1 and 2 and. That's part number 1. And then 4 collect. Let's do this again. Left and right and set, transfer. So as you're setting this up, this leg going here, make sure that you don't get too far away. It's just enough where you're feeling and your leg is slightly bent, and you start propelling yourself to the front with the back leg as well. 3, 4, complete. Let's do that one more time. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 and 2 and. Now reset. 3 and then together 4. Now we're going to do the other side. Same split into 3s. 5, 6, 7. 5 and 6 and 7. Right, so here I finished to the side. What I want to do instead is finish 7. So it's going to be 5 and 6 and 7's behind me. 7 and 8. And that's why I'm splitting it in 3 because you split it with the 7. You're committing to getting out on the exact same side you do it. A couple more times. Here we go. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. So on the 7 is where you pick the direction you want to go in. Let's do it one more time. Here we go. 5 and 6 and 5 and 6 and. It's technically 4 steps. Then 7 is your 5th. 8 is your 6th step. It's a little bit confusing at first because there's a lot of numbers involved. Mainly because there's a certain rhythm also that's not mentioned as clearly. Another way to think about the rhythm is quick, 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 even together. So even meaning like you keep an even tempo on that one. So it's quick, 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 slow it down, boom. Quick, 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 slow it down, boom. So that's the general feeling of that syncopation on the side. So we're gonna call this a box syncopated. Usually we do a box step 1, 2, 3, 4, making the L this shape like this, right? But instead it's gonna be reversed. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So the L becomes this shape. Now as you go to reverse, 5 and 6 and 7. Again, now the L becomes this shape here. So it's almost like an inverted box. So you could call it an inverted syncopated box. So to keep it simple, we'll just call it in a syncopated box step. Now the next step we're going to teach you guys is going to be adding that to your turns. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So that way you're doing a spin actually. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and, same way we split the other ones. 3, start setting up the turn. 4, boom. Now the neat thing about this, let's say I'm facing here to as my starting position, I can just do a half turn. 1 and 2 and half turn. 1 and 2 and half turn. Right? So it becomes this interesting concept where you don't have to do a full turn, a full 360, you can do a 180. So let's split that up into left, and from here I'm going to do a full turn. So as I do that, I try not to be too flat-footed. If I am, or the floor is just a bit more grippy, I try to take my this heavier hip and try to bring it in over this thigh, and at the same time try to spin on the ball of my foot. Boom. Like that. So if I do end up kind of slightly up here, then that's fine because I can correct it. 5 and 6 and. Now if I do another spin this way, 7, 8. Boom, right? Another way you can add power is not going to be how you let your hips release, and the same thing how you let your torso follow after its own release. So so here it's the arms can move a bit, but you're not really relying too much on your arms to do this. It's more so your torso is just doing this. It's just following. Like your head wants to go this way because you're turning here. You just let your body do the full revolution. And revolution. Boom. Right? As far as the feet, again, just quick reminder, I've already gone over this in some of the beginner sessions previously. As I do the spin, I try to bring my ankles and my calves together. All my legs are doing is this, as I'm spinning. Here, boom, right? So that way you're not really having to send your leg out like this to spin out. It's the illusion of that, right? You don't have to do that. Again, that's like a more, when you do that, that's the key to that, okay? Anything you would like to add to that? Just put the spins.
So something that I'd like to add to that is it's difficult because we have the carpet, but I'm able to do the spin because, like Jason said, I'm using my hip to torque me back. I'm not using my arms because my arms, if I use them improperly, are gonna throw me. They're gonna throw my balance because I need to keep everything upright. Number 2, is your core. We want to keep it nice and tight. So we don't want to turn like this because our balance, our center is thrown off. To keep our everything tight, we're gonna stand up straight, like tall. You're gonna have like you take a deep breath in, and your shoulders are gonna be back, and you're gonna be upright like a tree or a pencil. So that helps us stop and stay upright, because otherwise our center could be wherever, and then it's gonna be hard to do the turn as clean as we want it to be.
And again, a quick reminder that when you say activate something, it doesn't mean to freeze up or lock up or just flex. It means to constantly keep breathing through the movement. Even though she's showing you the ideal position of being straight up, as you're doing the turn, there's always going to be some bend. Here, you could bend down and absorb. It's about the absorption of it. Yeah, so the clarification here that Amanda just mentioned is like your torso itself is going to be upright and proud. The integrity of your torso. As your legs move around, they're gonna change shape. So don't hunch over your turns. That's very crucial. As you flex your abdomen, your pelvis, your glutes, and the whole lower back here into your torso, it becomes a stronger unit. And that's the whole thing. We're moving as a unit. Even though one comes after the other, so my feet may go first, but my torso follows. You can see here that the torso itself tries to stay very broad, but also centered on top of our belly button, on top of our hips, lining above each layer, the knees, the ankles, the toes. All right, so let's do this a few times slow. We're gonna include the the new stuff first. So that's gonna be the syncopated box step, and then we're gonna do the syncopated spin, and then we're gonna do a quick review of the other ones from last week, and then maybe throw in another thing in there. And again, there's a lot of stuff you can do to syncopated, so we're not gonna do too much. Again, beginners is more, about the technique and the breakdown, really taking our time with this. And then the Wednesdays are more intermediate, more advanced. We kind of give you something more challenging, more upbeat and fun to really get you moving and get your blood pumping. All right, so here, we're gonna start. We're gonna do this actually without music a few times. So we're not gonna follow with the music, but the music's still in the background. I'm gonna start with the basic step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I go syncopated, and 1 and 2 and forward, boom. 1 and 2 and back basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go again, and 1 and 2 and forward. 1 and 2 and back basic. Right, so we're keeping it very simple so you guys can follow along. Here we go again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and boom, basic. So let's slow this down a little bit. We're gonna go basic slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, syncopated box. 1 and 2 and forward. 1 and 2 and back basic. Left and left together. Right, and here we go again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Right, so that was like me doing the side one. You want to make sure when you go 3, 4, you go instead forward. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So that 3, that's your direction change. Let's do a basic one more time, nice and slow. Let's come a little bit closer here. I'm going to switch sides with Amanda. You can be right here, facing the audience. 5, 6, 7, basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopated slow. And 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Basic. You gotta slow it down. One more basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopated box last time. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7. Right. So again, once you kind of get the beat of it, it's gonna feel like, oh, you're just gonna rush into it. So again, just kind of follow the rhythm in your head and then match it to the music. Now we're gonna do the syncopated with the spins. I'm gonna have Amanda do it first so she can use the space, and then I'll do it after. So 5. You can face whichever way you want. Come a little bit closer. Here you go. So start with the basic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, syncopated with the spin. 1 and 2 and spin. 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Right, so she did one back to back. No, that was good. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go again. And 1 and 2 and spin. 4, 5 and 6 and spin. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go again. And 1 and 2 and spin. 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last time. Here you go. And 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Very good. Right? So I'm gonna do the same thing. This time I'm just gonna face you guys. I know. That's why I mentioned that before. So she was just saying that she's feeling the friction out with the floor, and as she showed the ideal way, but once you have friction, especially in bachata itself, it's more underneath. So she's kind of adding a layer of information on that. So what she means by that, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I can do like a little wind up, and from here, spin and right. So that way I'm able to pretty much rotate the full way into that spin. So as I go 1, 2, 3, 4, syncopated here, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. See? So here, if I feel like I'm getting too behind myself or not turning enough, what I'm gonna do instead is this: 1 and 2 and here. Do more of an opening up here. It's not gonna go as far, but I'm gonna really open up here at the hip. 3, 4. Right? If I'm ending up too behind here, the next modification is to really make sure I squeeze my thighs and my glutes as I go into that turn. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Right? So then from here, I'm trying to do my best to center. Now, the last part here is going to be your pelvis and how you also again use your glutes again. So as I'm going 3, 4, this leg might be falling back. So what I do instead, here, boom. Really make sure I use this thigh to complete together. Right? So as I go 1 and 2 and 3, 4, Then I go 5 and 6 and, right? So then I could go 7, 8. So it's going to be tricky at first, especially if you're getting used to the whole motion and you have a floor with a lot of friction. But keep everything smaller underneath your hips and really work on the angles, not so much the distance. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So that's going to be two keys to that. So let's now move on to some music, and we're going to do a bunch of these with the syncopated sides and the fronts. Okay. You can face the audience if you want. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, basic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopated box. And 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. Again, syncopated box. 1 and 2 and forward. 1 and 2 and back. Again. 1 and 2 and forward. 1 and 2 and back. Last time, here we go. Left and right and forward, boom. Right and left and backward, basic. And do a couple more basics. Just kind of catch the rhythm. And then syncopated with the spin. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Basic. Couple basics more. We're gonna do the double side again, basic. Syncopated with the spins. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if that's a bit too much, or the floor is out of friction, you could practice it a little bit with a more slow tempo. So we're just gonna turn on one side, and the other side is gonna be regular syncopated set. So let's do a basic. Left side syncopated spin. 1 and 2 and spin, boom. 5 and 6 and 7 basic. So that way you only do the spin on one side. One more basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Boom. Here we go again. Left side. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7. Basic. Last time left side. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7, and boom. This time we're gonna switch to the right side. So you can move a little bit over there. No, move a little bit over there. No, right where you were. Because remember, we're here, we want to make sure they see us. There we go. Basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right side. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Basic. Right side again. So we're going to go regular. And spin. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. So make sure you keep everything really small. Basic. Here we go again, right side. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right side. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Boom, right? So that's kind of the syncopated steps in the box version and in the spin version to the left and the right. Now let's move on to a different song, and we're gonna add the syncopated side steps and the forward steps. So let's switch sides. You want to face the front? Whatever you want. 5, 6, 7 basic, and 1, 2, 3, 4. One more basic, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Side syncopated steps. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 basic. Again, syncopated side. 1 and 2 and 3 together. 5 and 6 and basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopated side. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. One more time, syncopated side. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and side basic. We're gonna do basic again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward syncopated. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. Forward syncopated. 1 and 2 and 3 together. 5 and 6 and 7 basic. So the tricky part is to really kind of dribble your feet. Basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward syncopated. Behind the foot and boom, boom. Front foot and basic. So really kind of tippy toe as you're doing this basic. Into the syncopated tippy toe. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7 basic. Basic one more time. We're gonna go into forward syncopated. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. Now we're gonna do these doubled up. 2 side syncopateds. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7 again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. Doubled up side. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. One more basic. Gonna do the forward syncopated doubled up now. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. Bam. Basic. And forward doubled up. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7 again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7 to the side. Now we're gonna try some of the new stuff. One more basic. The box syncopated now. 1 and 2 and forward. 1 and 2 and backward basic. We're gonna do that doubled up. Here we go, doubled up. 1 and 2 and towards. 1 and 2 reverse again. 1 and 2 and towards. 1 and 2 reverse basic. And that's it. Boom. Alright. So let me check something real quick for you guys. Okay, we're doing pretty good. So this is a good song for the syncopation. A couple last notes for the syncopated portion. Again, we're gonna add more layers of syncopation in the next class, and then the last class of the month will be the review of most of the stuff we've done this month. So the syncopation is very key in two things. As you listen to the music, especially traditional bachata, you hear a lot of guitar, and you're gonna hear a lot of conga. So a lot of this is like a lot of it's pretty much adding extra beats between your regular 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and so it becomes usually an 8, now evolves to a 16. But that doesn't always have to be the case. It can be, 8 plus 4 could be a 12. It could be a variation of different numbers within that. The main key here is that the numbers are just a guide towards the rhythm that you're trying to interpret on top of the instruments you're mimicking, or even filling in gaps of some instruments that aren't in the music. But it goes over with the bachata rhythm and genre of the dance. So what does this mean as far as the dancing itself goes? If you feel like you're rushing into the step, focus more on digging through the floor, right? So right now, that'll depend on two different things, depending on how your body feels. If you kind of have a slightly weaker or stiffer hip, it will help to kind of warm up a bit. Kind of doing little warm-up exercises. You can look up, on YouTube, warm-up exercises. We'll maybe doing one later on in the future. You guys can look on back for reference. But the main thing is going to be the hips definitely have to be included in everything you're doing with the dance, even though the feet are the first point of contact. Number 2, make sure you really roll your feet into what you're doing, right? If you feel like any sort of stiffness, it's okay to stretch in between the dancing and the class that you're taking, right? Because your body's going to keep adjusting to what you're doing. As you build up habits in whatever you're doing, it's going to feel more natural, and your body's going to feel like more prepped to whatever you're doing, right? Even myself here, I had to kind of warm up certain ways. I haven't done a real warm up for this class, so my body's kind of feeling a little bit heavier, a little bit stiffer. But to kind of work around that, I'm trying to keep everything more low and really trying to let my body kind of feel the floor a bit more. So really dig through the floor. So as I'm going 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and right. So here, I'm not so much worried on having to click my foot against each other, my feet, right? I'm just making sure that my ankles and the side of my calves meet each other, right? So it's not as collision minded so much as it's like tap and tap and tap and tap, right? So then from here I can kind of do a little leg raise. I can go 1 and 2 and here. And so here it just starts to feel like a different movement. So as I'm going 1 and 2 and even if I take bigger steps, it's just me using the inside muscles like they're magnets here, together and together and together and together. It's like they're like little pulses. So that's the main thing. You don't really have to hold it. Just pulse and boom, right? Pulse and and from here you really transfer. This is where you hold it. And here becomes an anchor together. Same thing if you go forward and back. That's like a pulse. 1 and 2 and here. If you do the box one, pulse in, and then from here last second you pulse in a different direction. So pick your direction, pick your shape. Really kind of envision that shape you're drawing with your feet, and it'll make more sense. If you can really look at yourself in the mirror or record yourself, and even if you don't have a mirror and look back on it, it's gonna be a big help to what you're doing with the syncopated steps. And it'll be a more fun way to interpret the music in your dancing. It can be done either solo when you're having a break in a dance or when you're just practicing on your own, and it can also be done with a partner. And to give you a quick example with Amanda here, if I'm doing syncopated to the song here, basic 1 2 3 4, and I could do side syncopated 1 and 2 and 3 4 5 and 6 and 7 8 1 and 2 and 3 4 5 and 6 and 7 8, right? So these are different ways that you can create new avenues in your social dancing, in your solo dancing, and things like that. It just becomes a more leveled up way of expression. That's all it really is. And so that's pretty much it for that. Let's check if you guys have any last questions. Okay, doing pretty good. All right, cool. We're doing pretty good with it. So let's finish up with this last song, and then we'll take a quick 5-minute break and move on to the salsa. Okay. So we're gonna do this song here. Okay, I'm gonna start here, and Amanda's gonna face forward here. It'll be 5, 6, 7, basic, and 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Side syncopated twice. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 again, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Basic. I'm gonna do forward walk, walk, and together. Again, and walk, and together. Forward syncopated, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, just like that. You're gonna do a turn to your left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Basic. Right turn. Basic. Syncopated box. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 again, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6. Last time again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Goes with the music. Basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. One last basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopated just the left with the spin. 1 and 2 and spin. Boom. 5 and 6 and basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopated left with the spin. And boom. 5 and 6 and 7 basic. So that's the trickiest one here, I think, for today. Basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. We're gonna do the syncopated right turn with the right spin. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and spin action. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Basic. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 basic and 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopated right spin. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7, 8. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 and basic. Walk forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward syncopated. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Side syncopated. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And that's it, right? Boom. So that's pretty much, again, the slow breakdown of the syncopated steps. Again, this is meant to be a slower breakdown of the moves and the movements in general, and a little bit more discussion based. But as we continue on, again, we're gonna keep developing the fundamentals of what we're teaching you guys here. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Maurice Robertson, for the encouraging words. He said, muchas gracias. Take good care, Maurice. I definitely appreciate that. Again, if you're looking for something more upbeat and more of a challenge, the Wednesdays is where we put that energy and that extra, you know, just focus on really developing your dancing. These beginner classes on Mondays are designed for those people who are just getting into dancing, or people who don't consider themselves dancers, people who are, you know, really just trying to get their feet wet. And it's meant to be really comfortable, not intimidating. And again, we look at the comments on Facebook and YouTube. Even if you comment after the class goes live, I always do my best to take note of what I'm seeing, what I'm reading, and the feedback, and I always try to talk more about it in the next class. And again, it's completely free of charge. Doesn't matter if you're a student of mine from the past, the current, or you're just someone even from a different country, different state, or your background. You're completely free of charge for you to join. I'd rather have you guys learning something, and if I can contribute to that, that's all I really care about. As long as we're able to enjoy something mutually, share and enjoy dance, that's what really matters. So thank you guys for joining in for the Beginner Mondays Bachata. We're gonna take a 5-minute break and go right into the salsa after for beginners, okay? Thank you guys. Be right back soon.